Have you ever wondered, could I be a dungeon master? Could I run a game? Well, this video might be for you. Hi guys, this is DM Dunn, and this is Dungeons & Dragons Beginner Dungeon Masters. The very first thing you gotta do if you think you might want to become a dungeon master is you gotta get over the fear. That's what I had to do as well too. When I started DMing, I had never gotten a character past level, I think 3, before I started dungeon mastering. And it's one of those things you're gonna have to learn on the job, learn as you go. If you try to wait until you know everything and you're, know all the rules and everything, A, you wasted a lot of time, and B, it's really not necessary. So you just got to jump in, get started, and just start doing it. One way you can do it to kind of just get your feet wet and kind of get started and just kind of get a feel for it, kind of get the nerves shaken off, is create and run a one-shot. And Matt Colville, I think, did a video. I'll try to find the link and put that in the description below. Creating a one-shot, and I did that as well. I kind of mimicked his things as well too. So he's got a storyline, what the situation is, where a hook to get the adventuring party interested, where they're going to go, how they're going to get there, and then, even some like secrets once they get inside of the dungeon as well. Adjust it, make it more fun, follow it exactly if you need to, but that's one way to get started and kind of just go, oh, it's really not as bad as I thought it was. And so that's one way to do it. Now, what I chose to do was I chose to run a pre-made campaign. Because I'd never had a personal character as a player beyond level 3, I didn't even know what higher level characters or monsters could or couldn't do. So I felt really kind of hesitant to try to do it for the first time, never having seen or done any of that. So what I chose to do was to pick a pre-generated campaign, which already has a lot of the work done for you, so I would highly recommend doing that. Now, when you do this, you might hear other people debating, well, you're railroading your players. They have to do these things. Well, yeah, but otherwise they wouldn't have a game because I wouldn't be running it. And you can also have a lot of leeway within the pre-made campaign. So, everything in D&D is always just kind of like, here's the basics, here's some ideas. You can modify it if you want to. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of get a commitment from my players if I could, and I definitely was committed to this, is I wanted to create a campaign where the characters could grow and level to the high levels. And so I started with Horde of the Dragon Queen. And the reason I picked this one is because it also continues on to a second one, which is the Rise of Tiamat. And both of these campaign books together will get a character from level 1 all the way up to 17 or 18, or maybe even a little bit more if you decide to adjust it, but it's built to go, I think, to like level 17. So you could have your party's characters basically go from 1 to 17, which is pretty exciting, I think. And what's nice about campaign books like these is that it really has everything that you need. All I had when I started was my player's handbook. I didn't have the Dungeon Master Guide. I didn't have the Monster Manual. I had this. So the other thing that makes these campaigns good is that it has any additional information is already included in here. So if there are monsters, the monster stats will be in here. This also, when I got the book, it had like a download where you can print out some of the different things as well too. But it's got like appendixes in the back that kind of shows you some of the bad guys and their stats and kind of what they do. So it's really got a lot of information in here and pretty much everything that you would need. So you really don't have to have the Dungeon Master Guide, and you don't have to have the Monster Manual to get started and get into this. And I was actually, luckily and thankfully, surprised by my team during my campaign. There was a point, because everybody knew I didn't have those extra 2 books, and they all came to the table one day, and they had gifted me. They pulled their money together, and they bought me the Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master Guide, and it literally made me cry. But it was such a surprise, and so I have them now, but you don't necessarily have to have them if you're just starting and just trying to see if there's something you want to do and get into. And so, yeah, I highly recommend starting with those pre-made campaigns. Another thing that you can do if you don't want to go with like a full-on big campaign like that is the Dungeons and Dragons starter kit. It comes with the Lost Mines of Phandelver. I've been able to go through that as a player. Somebody else was DMing it, and they wanted to kind of get their feet wet, and they did the same thing. So that gets you your characters from level 1 to level 5. And it was fun. So you could just get the D&D starter kit and go through that campaign. What's kind of nice is we've taken that campaign and we moved it into another book. It was one of the Waterdeep ones. With not the Mad Mage, I'm just blanking out right now. But Dragon Heist, there we go. Dragon Heist and Waterdeep, we did that. And then now we've morphed that into a third pre-made campaign, which we're currently doing right now. So you can definitely do that, and it'll definitely get you started and get you going. Now, what I would say is find your group of players that you're going to want to play with and that are going to want to play with you as well also, and have conversations with them. See if there's something they're interested in, see if they'd be willing to do it, see what their commitment level is. Of course, everybody's got to try to find out, well, what's a night that everybody could get together so we could do this on like a continuing basis. But the big thing too is, let them know that you're new. Let them know that everybody's going to be learning as you go as well too, and it won't be perfect, but if everybody's having fun, then it is perfect. But there might be some rule mistakes, and there might be some things like that happen, and it's totally okay. So what's nice is to just go ahead and have fun for the evening and the night or the day that you guys are together. Make a judgment call the best you can based on the situations. Like, just common sense it out if you can. Just like, well, it would probably be this. So make a ruling and go for it. And then afterwards, the next day or whatever, you have time, you can try to look up those rules and try to verify, say, oh, okay, so next time now we know how this works. And that's the way I would recommend doing it versus just stopping the game and trying to look up something, especially if you don't even know where it is. So just make a call and move on. And the other thing too is you don't, as the Dungeon Master, have to know everything about everything. If a player is playing a cleric, it's not your job to know what all of their spell options are and what all those spells do. Put that weight on the player. Make sure that they do their homework as well, because you're going to be doing your homework. You're going to be, preparing for the sessions, and you're going to be getting everything organized and together and ready. They need to do their work as well. So they need to learn their character and what they can and cannot do. And then as a team, you guys will be able to lean on each other. If somebody does need to look up something during the game, maybe somebody else, one of the teammates, can try to look it up and keep it going as well. Now, one of the things that I also found that was also really helpful but really cool that I got for me when I started is I wanted to have the DM screen, because I just like, oh, that'll be cool, and I just need to have my DM screen so I can feel cool. But the reality is it's got a ton of great information for you on the back side, so that you, as you're sitting there, can quickly reference basically anything. What do all the different spells shapes look like? And they have those. All of the conditions are here. The actions that you can do in a combat situation. Setting a difficulty level for something. It kind of tells you if it's easy or if it's nearly impossible, and it kind of gives you those numbers to create. So it helps you to be creative on the go and as you're going. If somebody is hiding behind cover, what are the advantages that they get? If somebody wants to order an ale in the tavern, well, how much does it cost? It's got it right here. It's got a little list. It kind of gives you an example. It doesn't. You don't have to say exactly, but it gives you a reference, and maybe they want to raise the prices up, but you got a little guide to get started with. So it's got prices for stuff in there as well. All the different sizes of creatures and humanoids. So there's a lot of great information in here. And I want to emphasize something that I don't think I mentioned earlier. If you do decide to do a pre-generated campaign, you don't have to read this thing cover to cover before you start playing. Okay? A lot of people will think that's just too daunting and that's not something that I want to do. You don't have to. Definitely give it a good skim, and flip through there and kind of read the headlines and the highlights and get an idea of what's happening. But then definitely read the intro, the first section of the first chapter, or the first thing that your players are going to be doing and encountering, so that you're familiar with that. And then as your players are progressing and as you're preparing for the next session, then you read ahead as well. But you definitely want to be able to have at least skimmed the whole thing so that you can get an idea of how it all fits together, because sometimes there's some things in the back that if they would have known, or you as the DM would have known at the beginning, how they tie together, that definitely can be helpful. So you want to have at least got some basic knowledge of the whole thing, but you don't have to read every single word to get started. That's something that you'll do as you go. So a couple of tips that I've got when you're DMing is, one, I always over-prepare, because I'm always afraid that my players are going to go way beyond anything that I prepared for. So I'm like, okay, well, in case they finish this and they got to get to the next thing, well, then I got to learn all that. And I read all of that, and then I get ready for it, and I prepare it, and I get minis, and I get, terrain made and set up and available. And they're in the same room for like 3 sessions. And I'm like, well, cool. That's what makes it fun. They enjoy it. They're as long as they're having fun, everything's great. But I think it'd be better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, because it might kind of feel not as fun if they're just zooming along and all of a sudden you're done with what you prepared, and you guys have like another hour or two that you guys would normally be playing, and you have to say, well, we're going to call it early for the night. So in my opinion, I always kind of over-prepare. A couple of things that I will say too is assumptions. Don't assume that something is too difficult for your players. I've learned that over and over. I guess I haven't learned it. I keep doing the same mistake. I'm thinking, oh, this is too hard for them. It will TPK. It'll kill everybody. I don't want to do it. And I'll try to soften it down. But then they pull stuff out of the air, and I'm like, how did you do that? I mean, they'll do stuff that you can't even think of because they're thinking differently as you are on the other side of the screen. But it's really fun. In fact, that's the funnest part for me as the Dungeon Master, is seeing how they overcome the challenges that are provided to them. It's like, okay, guys, here's your challenge. What are you going to do? And they do some really amazing stuff. And for me as the Dungeon Master, that's what makes it really fun and exciting, is just kind of learning how and seeing them create and do these things. So it's really, really fun. So again, just realize that you're not going to be perfect. And I don't think, as long as you talk to your players beforehand, they're not going to expect you to be. You guys can learn and grow together. The biggest thing is really just do it. Don't be afraid of it. Understand that you're not going to be perfect. Understand that you will make mistakes, and your team will appreciate that, and they're just going to be happy that somebody, you, decided to go ahead and take the reins and run with it and be the leader for that group. So hopefully this will get you inspired to at least try a one-shot and just give it a test run and see how it goes. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. I'd be more than happy to try to answer all of those that I can. And if you do want to help out me and the channel, do me a favor. If you like the video, if it's helpful, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button as well, so that you can see all of the new videos when they come up. And also below, there's going to be a link that goes into my website, which also has an Amazon link. So if you needed to buy a player's handbook, or you wanted to go ahead and get, you know, one of the campaign books, or maybe you do want to go ahead and get, because you know you're going to do it, be the Dungeon Master. Maybe you do want to go ahead and get the Dungeon Master Guide or the Monster Manual or both. So you'll have links for those where you can click on those. And the nice thing is, if you buy any of those through my Amazon affiliate link, then Amazon does throw me a couple of pennies, which helps me out. It's not much, but it's just something. So if you're planning on buying anything from Amazon anyways, go ahead and click the link, do your login for your Amazon, and get it so that at least we can get a little bit of credit for that. We'd really appreciate that. You can also help by becoming a Patreon. Patreon is just a donation per month. Maybe it's $1, maybe it's $5, just to kind of help us continue to try to make this content for you guys. So until next time, have some more D&D fun with DM Done.